For Monday, September 17th, 2011. I'd welcome everyone in attendance and ask you to rise and join me in singing O Canada. Thank you to the National Film Board of Canada for the images of our country, and thank you to our very own Grand Prairie Boys Choir for the audio rendition of the anthem. This is the first time we've had a different anthem for council in at least 6 years. We'd like to thank Mr. David Bray, who provided the previous recording, and it's fantastic to hear the Grand Prairie Boys Choir providing the O Canada for our City Council meetings. So we'd move on to the adoption of the previous council meeting minutes. Could I have a motion for that set of minutes from September 6th? Councillor Rice?
I move adoption of the minutes of the City Council meeting held September 6, 2011.
Thank you very much. Did anyone note any errors or omissions in that set of minutes? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. And thank you. And that motion carries. And can we have a motion for the adoption of the agenda? I believe we had one addition. Councillor Crokin?
Thanks, Mayor Gibbon. I move the adoption of the agenda with the addition under committee business of 9.7 energy aggregation.
Thank you very much, Councillor Crokin. Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries, and that would move us to the delegation portion of our agenda. And this is an opportunity for anybody in the community to come and address council on any community matter. I'm looking out across the crowd to see if there's anybody that wants to come forward tonight. And is there anybody that'd like to come forward to address council? And it looks like we'll have no takers tonight, so we'll move on from the delegation portion into public hearings. And we'll start off with item 6.1, bylaw C 1237A to amend the municipal development plan. I'd call the public hearing to order and look for a brief introduction from administration.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is to give bylaw C 1237A second and third readings. The Planning Department has initiated an amendment to the municipal development plan to stipulate that both new and existing outline plans be adopted as statutory plans in accordance with Section 633 of the Municipal Government Act, instead of by council resolution. And the amendment also includes a corresponding change to the definition of outline plan. The purpose of the amendment is to ensure that future subdivision applications are consistent with the outline plans that are approved by council. Section 654(1)B of the Municipal Government Act states that a subdivision authority must not approve an application for subdivision approval unless the subdivision conforms to the provisions of any statutory plan that affects the land proposed to be subdivided. Thus, while a subdivision application must conform to a statutory plan, it is not legally required to conform to an outline plan because an OP does not have a similar legal status. In the city, area structure plans are very high-order land use plans. They show conceptually the proposed development for an area in fairly general terms. The higher level of detail planning is contained in outline plans, which are usually prepared by a developer at the quarter section level. And they include details as far as land use, zoning, layout of roads, parks, school sites, etc. The process for adopting area structure plans is slightly different than outline plans. The content and the process for adopting them is contained in the Municipal Government Act, and part of that is requiring to hold a public hearing before second reading of an ASP. Outline plans don't require that the formal public hearing process. The process for adopting outline plans as ASPs will require more public consultation that occurs under the present process. That is because area structure plans will require a public hearing before second reading, where outline plans do not. We do not envision the adoption of outline plans as ASPs as taking any extra time for the developers, and we do not expect the content in outline plans to change. We did refer this to the UDI chapter of, or the Grand Prairie chapter of UDI, and we've attached their letter in support of this amendment. They did strongly suggest that when we adopt the existing ASP, outline plans as ASP, we leave them intact because essentially council has already given direction for a neighborhood to be developed in that manner, and they basically would like those plans to be respected. Thank you, Mr. Chair, or Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Welton. So first opportunity for brief questions for administration. Councillor Rice.
Okay, your last statement, it said they had requested that we respect that. The legislation that is before us this evening, though, does not stipulate that. Is that correct?
The amendment does not stipulate that when an outline plan is converted to an area structure plan. This does not stipulate that that it be transferred over essentially intact. No.
So, how do we know that's going to happen?
Well, the process would be is planning department would bring outline plans, like existing outline.
No. We got ones that have been approved already.
Yes.
Okay, and they're saying leave those alone, make it from this point forward. How do we know that's going to happen?
Actually, Mr. Mayor, what they are saying is that they support existing outline plans being converted into ASPs. They do support that because converting the outline plan to an area structure plan gives that plan extra legal status that the neighborhood is going to be developed in that manner.
So they're adopted, then they're converted to ASPs at no cost and no additional manpower to do that for the applicant.
For existing outline plans,
Yes.
planning would do that, so there would be no cost to, developers. For new outline plans that are coming in.
Okay, that's okay.
they-
I don't worry about
okay,
those.
okay.
So, and would there be any downside to converting them? And we're talking the existing. I don't care about the old guys or the new guys.
There is no downside to adopting them.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Mr. Welton. Councillor Wong.
Thank you, Mayor Given. So, Mr. Welton, just for the people who don't know, outline plans are more detailed than area structure plans, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so in the past, has council had opportunities to look at and approve outline plans?
Through the mayor, yes, all outline plans are adopted by council by resolution.
Okay, so under this new system, are we looking at presenting both at the same time? Both levels of detail, all into one area structure plan?
No, that's not the intent. The intent is that the area structure plans, conceptual area structure plans will continue to exist and be adopted. And then usually those have been done by the city, and they just set out a broad sort of a conceptual development concept. And then the developer, he knows how he wants to develop, to lay out his neighborhood. So he will come in with an application for an outline plan. The process will be, instead of adopting it as a resolution, it will be adopted by bylaw. So the content of the plan and everything is going to be the same. It just gets adopted by bylaw as an area structure plan instead of by resolution. We're still going to call them outline plans. It will just be essentially a two levels of area structure plans.
Okay, and all the same public hearings and all that are still, that process still is the same?
The process is quite similar. Typically, an outline plan comes to council for just with a resolution, not through an outline or not through a public hearing. As a area structure plan, council will have to hold a public hearing. So there will be actually additional public opportunity for input.
Okay, that's clear. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Wong. Any further questions for administration at this time? There will be another opportunity if council members feel they need to. Seeing no further questions at this time, then I'd open it up for presentations or submissions, and I just wonder if there's anybody in the audience who would like to come to speak to this issue. I see that there's a representative of UDI who's saying, no, I think we're good. Okay, I would call again to see if there's anybody else that would like to present on this issue. And seeing nobody coming forward, then I would close the public hearing. Before I close the public hearing, one last opportunity for council members who may wish to ask administration any questions. Seeing none, then I would close the public hearing, and we'll move on to business arising from the hearing, and we have two motions. I see Councillor Rice in the queue.
I would move second reading of bylaw C-1237A to amend the municipal development plan.
Thank you very much. Councillor Rice, any discussion or debate on second reading? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Rice?
I move third reading of bylaw C-1237A to amend the municipal development plan.
Thank you very much. Councillor Rice, any discussion or debate on third reading of bylaw C-1237A? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. And that finishes up all the items of business that we had for public hearings and brings us to our unfinished business. And we had bylaw C-1166C to amend the traffic bylaw. And I wonder, Councillor Radburn, if you'd be able to handle that piece of business for us.
Thank you, Mayor Given. This is a carryover from our last meeting. This is our RV parking bylaw. Just want to, as I did last time, thank council for generally council working with Protective Services to make this, I guess, comfortable for all of us. I do think it strikes an appropriate balance in terms of providing some tools to address certain RV parking issues, but I think respects the rights of RV owners as well. So with that, I think that'll be the context I'll leave it with tonight, Mayor Given.
Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. So that was a motion for third reading of bylaw C-1166C. Any discussion or debate on third reading? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. That's all of our unfinished business, and we'll move on to reports, of which we had none. So we'll go directly into committee business and item 9.1, Community Development Committee. And Councillor Crokin, I believe you're going to stand in for Councillor Gustafson on these tonight. Is that correct?
Yes, that's very correct. Thank you, Mayor Given. I move council receive the minutes of the special Community Development Committee meetings held August 23rd, 2011 and August the 25th, 2011. And just speaking to the motion, Mayor Given, there was a number of groups, South Peace Ball Association, Ski Club, Tennis Club, Skating Club, Gold Age Center, and the list goes on. And they made their presentation and their asks, and they were all referred to the budget deliberations of 2012-14 in November. So.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Councillor Crokin. Any discussion or debate on that set of minutes? Questions, comments? Councillor Rice?
You met and then met again 2 days later. Is that just simply the volume?
Yes, Mayor, that's correct.
In addition to that, there was also the FCSS request as well. So the first was for community group, community organization requests, and the second one was FCSS funding, which is $20 from the province. We had two separate meetings.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion or debate on that motion to receive those two sets of minutes? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Was there anything that you wanted to highlight from those two sets of minutes, Councillor Crokin? Other than what you did already, sorry?
There will be a little bit later on in the second one on the FCSSAA when that comes up.
I think we had those both together. So if you want to cover the FCSS, then now would be the right time to do it.
Okay, I'd like to have Director Gary Roth just give us an oversight on that.
Okay. Mr. Roth, if you can give us a little bit of an
Thank you, Mayor. Mr.
overview
Mayor.
of the FCSS requests.
Certainly, the committee met and we looked at the FCSS pot of money, so to speak, and certainly looked at how we could distribute that, make it that recommendation to council. I think that's pretty much all that we did at that particular meeting.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Councillor Rice.
I know that there is unallocated funds in 2012, 13, and 14. We can hold those. We don't have to, it's moved that we go forward to budget deliberations, but we don't have to make that decision in November, do we?
For the Director of Community Services.
I believe it is possible to hold funds over.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Any further discussion or debate on those two sets of minutes? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote on the motion to receive those two sets of minutes. Thank you. And that motion carries. Sorry. Did we vote on that twice?
Yes. I think that's.
We did. Okay, good. It carried both times.
All right.
All right.
Anybody
We're consistent.
change their vote?
We're going to check
See what you did, Councillor Rice? With all those questions, got me confused. I can, let's just move on to Public Works. Councillor Wong, I think that's your meeting from September 6th.
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor Given. I move that council receive the minutes of the Public Works Committee meeting held September 6, 2011.
Thanks very much. Did anyone notice any errors or omissions on that set of minutes? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Wong.
I move that council adopt the Transportation Master Plan as presented, and it does have 2009 there because the process started back in 2009. In speaking to that motion, Mayor Given, the Transportation Master Plan is a rather large document. It talks about how the city is going to develop its transportation network over the next 10 years, 10 to 20 years. The last Transportation Master Plan was passed in 2002, so it was well beyond the point that it needed updating. It has several recommendations in it, both a 5 and 10-year term of recommendations. Within the plan, it talked about city road networks as well as trail and sidewalk networks, where it suggested we should put additional sets of lights where roads should be twinned, where they should be turned from 4-lane into 6-lane, and so on. They did several analysis in that report. Some of the analyses dealt with what the city's current network would look like at a population of 78,000, and then at 90,000 if we did nothing, and then if we implemented some of the other strategies in place. In any case, the Public Works Committee is recommending that the Transportation Master Plan's recommendations go to the 2012 to 2014 budget, where we can discuss whether or not, or how many of those recommendations actually fit within the funding that we're going to receive.
Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor Wong. Any discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing nobody in the queue, I'm actually going to take this opportunity to ask a question. I wasn't able to be at the Public Works meeting, and so for administration, I noticed in the document, did spend some time last Sunday night going through it, it mentions it recognizes the couplet project in the document, and so I just wonder, are we going to be amending this plan, or should this plan be should this plan be passed with that recognition there, and Mr. McIntyre?
Giving you one question I think I can answer fairly completely on that note. Yeah, I am aware, and I did actually have a query to engineering about the reference to the couplet, and the reference to the couplet is in the context of the analysis of the transportation options in the city. That was something that was looked at quite deliberately, and it was not recommended to proceed, so it was reasonable to leave it in there, and the context around it in terms of the text explains what it means, and that it's not in fact redundant to have it in there at all.
Okay, okay, thank you very much. I mean, I did note that there wasn't any costing or any recommended changes in the list of items that were, that'll be forwarded to budget, so thanks very much, though, for that explanation, appreciate it. Councillor Wong?
And just to add one other piece of information, within the Transportation Master Plan, it identified 84th Street at a cost of over $12 million, and administration has told us that that is for a full-blown urban cross-section, and their recommendation coming to us this fall is going to be for a rural cross-section. So we're going to see that cost come down significantly.
Thanks very much, Councillor Wong. Okay, any further discussion or debate on the motion to adopt the Transportation Master Plan? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Wong?
I move that council direct the mayor to send a letter to the Government of Canada Parliament requesting a national transit strategy with copies to MP Chow and MP Workington. In speaking to that, we had some correspondence from a member of Parliament from the NDP party who is trying to urge the Canadian government in creating a national transit strategy. That strategy would not only identify needs for, or allow municipalities to determine what their needs are for transit, but also look at some kind of a strategy for funding those needs in the future. So we felt that it was a good initiative to at least have a plan in place as municipalities start to grow. Transit becomes an integral part of how that city grows.
Thanks very much, Councillor Wong. Any discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. Motion carries. How appropriate, considering we're celebrating 30 years of transit in the city of Grand Prairie. Councillor Wong, was there anything else that you wanted to highlight from that set of minutes?
Yes, there was one other discussion that our committee had, and that was in regards to Crystal Lake Drive. We have several residents who were who had spoken to City Council about the amount of traffic that was going through Crystal Lake Drive and even Lakeland Drive. So administration is going to do a traffic count that was requested of them, so that we get an idea of at least what we're talking about in terms of whether or not those roads are handling the type and the amount of traffic that it was designed to.
Thanks very much, Councillor Wong. If there's nothing else from that set of Protective Works Committee minutes, then we'll move on to 100th Anniversary Committee, and Councillor Rice, I believe that was you.
I would like to move that council receive the minutes of the 100th Anniversary Committee meeting as amended. There is an error. The amendment would come under item number 4, where it should be moved by Councillor Gustafson. The committee appoint Mr. R. Stephen to the 100th Anniversary Subcommittee to review criteria for applications for the Cultural Capital Grant, and Miss Leanne Beaupre, County of Grand Prairie, to the 100th Anniversary Committee.
Okay. So just clarifying that one is going to the subcommittee and
And
one
one's
is
going to the main committee, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Any further discussion on that set of minutes? And did administration get that note? So Ms. Beaupre, I think, was recently invited to attend, and this is maybe the first time that she's been able to come.
She's been invited to all the meetings. Somehow we forgot to appoint her to the committee. So this motion right now is simply the minutes, and the next motion will be that council appoint. You don't have to appoint the subcommittee, but we will have to make a motion. Council will have to appoint Leanne to the committee.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Rice. So we've caught that little change in the set of minutes, and so I'll call for the vote on the minutes as amended. Thank you, and that set of minutes as amended carries, and so Councillor Rice, do you want to carry on with that?
Yes, I would move that the Leanne Beaupre be appointed to the 100th Anniversary Committee as a County of Grand Prairie representative.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Any discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Rice, is there anything else you want to highlight?
Just highlight that we have put together a subcommittee to review criteria for applications for the Cultural Capital Grant. We're extremely proud of that committee. There will be members from the library, from the college, of course, Robert Stephen from the Prairie Gallery, a representative from Sports and Recreation, Bonnie Bell, who is very active with the native population. So I think that we have an excellent committee to review that criteria and take our application forward.
Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. So from there, we'll move on to, sorry, Councillor Radburn, do you have a question? Okay. Councillor Radburn?
Thank you, Mayor Given. Helen, where is the committee at with respect to a budget referral? When I attended the last meeting, they were looking at developing a budget and determining what might be needed to be a request for our budget, 3-year budget.
The budget requirements will be coming forward to the budget sessions that will be held in early November.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And if there is nothing further on that set of minutes, we move on to the Council Committee of the Whole from September 6th. And Councillor Wong, would you handle that set of minutes?
Yes, I'll move that council receive the minutes of this Council Committee of the Whole meeting held September 6, 2011.
Okay, thank you. Anyone note any errors or omissions from that set of minutes? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you very much, and that motion carries. Councillor Wong, is there anything that you cared to highlight from that set of minutes?
There was only one item on that agenda, and that was to deal with Karen on the Boulevard project. And council voted in favor of advancing $400,000 of the $1.4 million affordable housing provincial grant to Karen on the Boulevard.
Okay, thank you very much. So, any discussion on that set of minutes on that meeting? Councillor Rice?
I just want to say what an excellent job Councillor Wong did. I think that we just sailed along without any glitches, and there was some contention, and he handled it very well. So you can go away with no worries.
Did you just tell me to go away?
I meant if you feel like going on vacation.
Thanks very much, Councillor Rice, and thank you, Councillor Wong, for handling that committee of the whole meeting and that city council meeting from that day. We'll move on to Protective Services Committee from September 13th, and Councillor Radburn, I believe that was you.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I move council receive the minutes of the Protective Services Committee meeting held September 13th, 2011.
Thank you very much, Councillor Radburn. Anyone note any errors or omissions in that set of minutes? Any amendments? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. I think there was one item of business arising from that set of minutes, Councillor Radburn.
Yes, thank you. I move council rescind first reading of bylaw C1166B to amend the traffic bylaw. This bylaw amendment was contemplated when we found that there was contemplated some parking fine increases due to Service Alberta's increasing their search fees by $15. As everyone is well aware now, government has suspended the search fee increase. Therefore, there's no need for the parking fine increases at this time.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Any discussions on that motion, debate on that motion? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you, and that motion carries and closes off that piece of business finally. Councillor Radburn, was there anything else that you cared to highlight from that set of minutes?
Thank you. Yeah, I will. We had some, I think, 3 referrals to budget deliberations, one being a request from the Technical Search and Rescue Group of a similar amount that they've had for the last few years of $20,000, and 2 programs that we found the past few years who had been receiving some Safe Communities Initiative grants, but committee felt they were successful enough that we refer those to budget, that being our Police and Crisis Team program and our Youth Intervention Program team. And those are amounts of $125,000 and $65,000. The other thing that happened at the meeting, admin directed, the committee directed admin to bring recommendations on how to implement a transition period before implementing a cap on number of taxis. We had some representation there. This will be consistent with the direction to admin re-implementation of the number of taxis per company, or minimum number of taxis. This info is needed as committee considers bylaw amendments dealing with the taxi industry issues. Committee recognizes the urgency for taxi drivers and asks that the report come back as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Any discussion or questions for Councillor Radburn on that set of minutes? Seeing none, then we'll move on to Community Development Committee from September 13th. And Councillor Crokin, would you be able to handle that for us?
Yes, thanks, Mayor Given. I move council receive the minutes of the Community Development Committee meeting held September 13th, 2011.
Thank you very much. Anyone note any errors or omissions from that set of minutes? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Crokin.
Thank you, Mayor Bill. And further recommendation, council approve the following resolution, FCSS Principle on Local Autonomy for presentation at the FCSS AA Annual General Meeting as follows. Be it resolved that FCSS AA during participation in the FCSS Regulations Review strongly encourage Child and Youth Services Minister to explicitly state the principle of local autonomy in the regulations. And further in the recommendation that we council direct Mayor Given to write a letter to Children's Youth Services requesting that the FCSS AA review recognize the need for autonomy in the regulations.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Councillor Crokin, any discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you, and that motion carries. Councillor Crokin? Further item of business there? Or any other items of business that you'd like to highlight in that set of minutes?
Just one thing that I'd like to bring up is that the provinces share on these projects, and that's why your letter is very important. That the minister he gives us, I believe a part of our budget is $320,000, of which our the provincial share is 80%, and 20% is local dollars. So we appreciate them giving us that money and want them to know that we are already contributing 20%. So if they can maintain their share along in the next 3 years, it would be satisfactory.
Certainly appreciated. So Councillor Crokin, would you care to move on, carry on to item 9.6.2, Parks Improvement Program?
Yes, Mayor Gibbon. I also move council approve the allocation of the 2011 Parks Improvement Grant funding as presented. And to speak to that, that's a yearly parks improvement, and there was, I believe it was three or four, to total $35,000, and it was $11,000 to Lakeland Playground Society, $11,000 to Countryside Kids Society, and $11,000 to the Recreational Society, and $2,000 to Ecole St. Gerard's for improvement of their playground equipment.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Councillor Crokin. Any discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Crokin, was there anything else on that set of minutes to be highlighted?
No, just that, maybe just a note on the parks funding. It has been an ongoing for school boards, I was involved in school boards before, that there is no funding from the provincial government for parks. And the parent committees or parent societies that form and work very, very hard to improve and make sure that they're very safe. There's a liability aspect to your insurance if the child is hurt on some of the playground equipment. So the costs are very high because they maintain a strict level of safety. So I'm very pleased to see that that's carrying on for our kids.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Crokin. So that'll bring us to our additional agenda item, 9.7, energy aggregation. Councillor Rice, I believe you could handle that one for us from our
I
special
would.
DGS meeting today.
Okay, I move that council approve that the city enter in to participation in the AMSC's energy program for the multiplex and West Side Fire Station and direct administration to proceed with procurement of electricity and/or natural gas for the new sites. In speaking to the motion, the AMSC is the Alberta Municipal Services Corporation. It's a subsidiary of the Alberta Urban Municipalities Association, and it has been providing aggregated wholesale energy procurement since 2001. It's very favorable commodity market prices right now, and we will need additional energy loads for those two new sites. AMSC right now manages approximately 650,000 megawatt hours and 3,500,000 gigajoules on behalf of its members. There's approximately 770 combined energy and natural gas customers. So when you're dealing with that kind of volumes, you're able to negotiate some favorable prices.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Any discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. And I believe that wraps up our committee business, if I'm not mistaken. And we'd move into correspondence, of which we had none. Delegation business, which we didn't have any delegations come forward today. We have no notices of motion. So that'll bring us into council member reports, and we'll start with the library board. Councillor O'Toole.
Thank you very much. Yes, we had a library meeting last week, and one of the topics of discussion was the head librarian over at the library is leaving, and she's retiring. So Laurie Harrison will be done here, I think, at the end of October, sorry. And Pam Chisnett, which is the assistant, will be taking over until sometime in February.
Okay.
And we also discussed putting an outdoor signage up, and we're working with the city with that right now, and it looks like we're gaining some ground finally. So that's the only two topics that we can discuss.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Councillor O'Toole, and please pass on our regards to Laurie. She's been a fantastic director at the library and has really been there at some key points in the library's history, managing that transition from the old building to the new, and overseeing that huge expansion in service as the community flocked to the new facility. So please pass on our congratulations. That would bring us to Peace Library System and Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, Mayor Gibbon. Just a short report. Attended the Peace Library System Board meeting last Saturday, September 17th in High Prairie. Three things just to share with you. We did look at health and safety policy, and we reaffirmed that policy for library service points. Those are libraries where the Peace Library System is the board of record. Just to remind Council that the 25th anniversary celebration for the Peace Library System is this Wednesday, September 21st. There's an open house at the Peace Library System offices from 1 to 4, and in the evening from 7 to 8:30 at the Holiday Inn, there's a celebration. And the next 2 days are the Rural Libraries Conference, Thursday and Friday. The theme entitled Remembering the Past, Embracing the Future. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. I don't believe there are any external agencies, boards, and commissions reports, and that'd bring us to council member roundtable, and we'll start with Councillor Wong, who handled our last city council meeting. Councillor Wong?
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. And it was a pleasure to sit in your chair for that one meeting, but you can stay in there for as long as you want. It's a lot of pressure. It's a pretty hot seat.
Thanks
Yeah.
very much, and thank you very much for holding down that.
Oh, yeah. 10 o'clock we got out of here.
Councillor Wong, thank you.
Yes, on Tuesday, September 6th and 12th, I was at the Grand Prairie Regional Tourism Association Strategic Planning Sessions. Wednesday, September 7th, I was in Edmonton at the legislature with Reeve McDonald and Aquaterra board members, as well as the CEO of Aquaterra, to meet with the Environment Minister and the Minister of Sustainable Resources. On Saturday, September 10th, oh, sorry, there is another Wednesday, September 7th event. I brought greetings on behalf of the city to the Fallen Heroes Military Fundraiser and the unveiling of the Portraits of Honor mural at the Crystal Center. On Saturday, September 10th, I brought greetings to the motorcycle rally event at Center 2000 in support of fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. Also on September 10th, I brought greetings to the Parkinson Super Walk at Muskosipi Park. Sunday, September 11th, I was at the South Fire Hall for their annual Fallen Firefighter Day of Recognition. Wednesday, September 14th, I attended a Wapiti Corridor Planning Society meeting. Thursday, September 15th, I was at City Hall and welcomed Cleo Carafel, who was delivering a thank you banner from Slave Lake for our community's help during the wildfires in May. There were other members of our our Grand Prairie Regional Emergency Partnership here as well. They were having a board meeting, and it was nice that everyone was here to welcome Cleo, who hand-delivered the banner, but she's on a special mission. She's going to run through 7 communities for a total distance of about 400 kilometers to provide these banners, which are signed by members of their community thanking us for our help. On Friday, September 16th, I toured the multiplex and took in some training, which qualified me as a tour guide for the Big Splash event at the multiplex, which on Saturday, September 17th, I was able to do that. I provided a few small group tours at the multiplex before the overwhelming crowd started a massive lineup, and we had to just open the floodgates and just let everyone in to just view the facility, because there was just way too many people that wanted to see it, and we knew we would never get through if we were trying to provide personal tours. So I think it was an exceptionally successful event in those respects, and I'd like to give kudos to city staff and volunteers that were working that afternoon and provided the free barbecue, the tours, helped to just sell memberships in advance, and do all that stuff that the people of Grand Prairie were able to just come in and just enjoy a wonderful afternoon. And that's everything.
Thanks very much, Councillor Wong, and thanks once again for holding down the hot seat for me while I was away. Councillor Rice?
I was invited to be a judge for the Altor Awards, which is the Alberta Tourism Awards for the Friends of Tourism, so that was an interesting experience. I also have been declared elected by acclamation once again to the Alberta Urban Municipalities Association Board of Directors. And thank you. I will be tomorrow attending the Alberta Recycling Management Association AGM. That, of course, is tires, electronics, and paint. So certainly an organization that has some significance for Grand Prairie. And that's it.
Thanks very much, Councillor Rice, and appreciate your work on the provincial scene for us. Councillor Munro?
Thanks, Mayor Given. September 15th, I attended with the Mayor and Councillor O'Toole and Councillor Crokin a meeting with the Fort St. John City Council. Quite an enjoyable lunch that we had with Fort St. John Council, and it was interesting to see some of the initiatives that they're doing. One of the ones that kind of sticks in my mind is that they've been successful in planting vegetable gardens on almost all of their city properties, whether it's City Hall or their sports facility, and it's just kind of a neat concept. On the 16th, I also attended multiplex tour guide training. And of course arrived on the 17th to be told that there was no tours because we were simply overwhelmed. And I'd just like to echo Councillor Wong's comments on a job well done to everyone that helped out with that event. And Councillor Wong, I'm not sure if you mentioned it or not, but they we had over 4,000 visitors that came through the multiplex on Saturday afternoon. This morning I was at a Center for Research and Innovation steering team meeting. One of the things that was presented to me at the meeting was the annual update on the Center for Research and Innovation, and I'll make sure that a copy is left up for everyone's review. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Monroe. Councillor Croghan?
Thanks, Mayor Given. On September the 7th, I attended on behalf of council the mocktail serving at the Lions Learning Center in regards to fetal alcohol syndrome disorder. And I'd like to commend an awful lot of the participants, which were like Higgins, The Zone, Lions, Fred's, Crown and Anchor. They served up very, very good non-alcohol drinks, and they were encouraging people that were pregnant to have those, and they served me up quite a few. Mango juice, mint leaves, 7-Up, and they're very tasty, so ask for them next time you go to one of those places. On September the 8th, I attended with a couple other councillors the disaster mockery, the fire, or the plane crash and the engine falling off at the airport. Very, very professional. We saw what would happen, and it looked like they had it under control. Then we went to the EOC. You have to talk the acronyms because that's the way it is. That was Emergency Operations Center for anyone that doesn't know what you. Yeah, it was pretty good stuff for them. Yeah. On September the 9th, I attended the Sean Waldron Golf Memorial at the Grand Prairie Golf and Country Club. That was well attended by our emergency service people. On September the 15th, again, I attended, as Councillor Monroe had said, in Fort St. John, and the thing that I found was exciting at that Pomeroy, their sportsplex, the raised oval track for challenging the people to go to the Olympics. It's exact same size, and they said there's only 3 of them like that in Canada. North America, yeah, well, that's bigger yet, so it was very nice. They shared with us some of the same problems that we have with their surrounding areas, not blaming anybody. It's just that the governments are working on them, and I hope our government, our new premier, works on them. On the 16th, I opened 4.5 feet of tenders, biggest tender opening ever, and it was on the it was $2.5 million, the Aquaterra line, and I'm glad to hear, or hope we still continue doing work for Aquaterra. On the 17th, I also attended the multiplex splash off. I didn't need any training; I knew where it was. The tours, there was tours, but you had to get there a little early, Councillor Monroe. Like I was there right at 12, and it was an amazing turnout. My mom was 96, and she was thinking of getting a year membership, but when she saw the pool, it was just a little too long. I think somebody must have had 2 hot dogs or burgers, because we served over 5,000 burgers and dogs, and there was only 4,000 visitors, so something happened there. And that's the way it is, Mayor Gibbon. See you all at AUMA next week.
Thank you very much, Councillor Croghan. Councillor Radburn?
Thank you, Mayor Given. So September 7th, Multiplex Building Committee meeting. September 8th, I also attended the GPREP training exercise and observed the site and the OC. September 10th, something hasn't been mentioned yet, Community Village Block Party. I was able to attend that for an hour or so. Thank you for good turnout, and I think more and more as the time period went on. Very positive comments, and I want to thank staff who, I think crime prevention staff, were leaders in terms of making it happen, so I want to thank them for that. A little anecdote that I think is cute, that is useful to share. I was sitting down for a bit and had engaged in a conversation with a senior who actually was living in James Manor, just across the street from the parking lot. And she said to me, Lauren, I told that young band to get playing again. We need loud music to draw people in. And you know, if other residents in James Manor don't come over, I see a couple sitting over there. I'm going to actually go over and bring them over to the parking lot to join in the celebrations. So I thought, right on. That's really the attitude that we were trying to generate with respect to the block party. So good on her. Thanks to Dan and Kevin for coming to the Parkinson Super Walk. I really appreciate your support, and my wife in particular, as chair of the committee, does so as well. September 11th, fallen firefighter ceremony at South Fire Hall. September 15th, I attended on behalf of council a AMA NADC sponsored meeting of regional stakeholders relative to seniors transportation. And they will probably be meeting every quarter, so I'd be pleased to be a partner in that initiative. And I helped Councillor Wong hold the banner as we received the Slave Lake thank you banner. December 17th, Multiplex Big Splash event. I actually was in High Prairie, so I rushed back and was able to help with the hot dogs and hamburgers. It was very, very busy, very positive comments, and I think it was very successful. So I would echo other councillors' comments with respect to the staff who participated in making it happen. And this morning, well, I attended the Emergency Services Medal presentation for Jamie LeBlanc. Unfortunately, for a number of reasons, it didn't quite happen, so it's going to be rescheduled, but nevertheless, it was good that we were able to congratulate Jamie. Pardon me? We had some food, very good, and we'll have another opportunity to congratulate Jamie. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn and Councillor O'Toole.
Thank you, Mayor Given. On the September 7th, I attended the Portraits of Honor Gala, as Mr. Wong had suggested. He did an excellent speech. I know Jody Clausen has helped him out with some of the information there, and I just want to pass on. It was a very, very good speech. He put in a long day that day. He was in Edmonton at 5 o'clock in the morning, so by the time the speech was, he was a little bit tired. Master Corporal Paul Franklin was there. He also gave a very good speech, and we got to meet the artist, Dave Solfa, and spent some time talking to him and hearing some of the stories that he had heard and inspired him in making the painting. On the 9th, I was also observing in the mock plane crash at the airport, and also went to the EOC Center, and it was very interesting to see how all of the different departments can work together in one room and still have some sane people in that room. It was done very, very, very well. On the 9th, I took part in the Take Pride community tour. We project that we have Michelle Gardner is quite involved in. We went and did the tour in a city bus, and some of the places that we went to was the Community Garden, Center 2000, Depe Manor, Crystal Lake, went to a private residence. We went to the Muskosipi Park Amphitheater, Celebration Garden, Jubilee Park, and South Peace Ball Diamonds, and it was just to see what the city has done and what the public has been involved in as well. And it was very, very good, and I think we're going to have some information and feedback probably by next city council meeting as well. I also attended a tender opening later that day, and it was about a 45-minute tender opening. I don't know how many boxes we got in that room, but we need to get a wagon. I'm pretty proud to say that later on that evening, my daughter gave birth to a little girl. So she's about a week and a half old now, Kenzie. She's a 6-pounder, not a very big girl, but she's a pretty good sized fish if you put that into proportion. The next day, well, a 6-pound fish I'd be happy to have, and I'm very happy to have a 6-pound granddaughter as well. On Saturday, I went to the community village, and I cooked some hot dogs with Mayor Bill Given. He just come back from his trip. The block party was good, met many residents, and it was a very good day. Later on, I went to give greetings on behalf of the city to the Second Chance Furniture Store. That's a project that was one of the Rising Up projects. It's in the old Swan City Auction Building, and they've got furniture there that you can drop off. They refurnish it, clean it all up. They put people and give in place to do minor repairs and sell it for a profit. Later on that day, as Councillor Radburn suggested, I did take time to stop in and watch the opening ceremonies for the Parkinson's Walk. Dan Wong also represented the city and gave a speech. It was nice to see past Councillor Ernie Radburn there, and it was great. On the 13th, I went to the library board meeting, as I said earlier, and on the 15th, I was invited to give a speech to the ATCO Electric servicemen and women on safety, and they had a safety meeting that they were having, kind of a quarterly meeting, and they invited me to come down and help them out. Later on that day, I rode in the comfort of Councillor Crokin's vehicle, and we went to Fort St. John. It was quite interesting, as was suggested earlier, the tour of their ice arenas and how they've implemented some free space in the place to have a school set up there. So it was quite interesting as there. And on the 19th, which was today, I took my granddaughter to the fire hall to meet the firemen, and every time we got into a fire truck, they got called out. So there was no firemen left, and there was no awards banquet. So there we go. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Councillor O'Toole. First off, I'd like to say my thanks to the council members who picked up the load while I was gone on a family vacation to take our new daughter to Europe to visit some of her family. Thanks very much, Councillor Wong, for sitting in and chairing the council meeting, and to all the other council members who had to pick up a little bit of the load. I certainly appreciate it. After I returned on September 10th, I was at the community barbecue at the community village, as Councillor Radburn and Councillor O'Toole highlighted. A fantastic event. Great to see such a diverse range of the community come out, from the seniors across the street to the folks in the agencies at Community Village to a number of other neighbors. Certainly appreciate it. And while I was there, I took the opportunity to poke my head into the new home of the Grand Prairie Performing Arts Guild, which is also known as the former Ovations Dinner Theatre. They're going to be taking up residence in the old sanctuary at the church. It's going to be fantastic use of the facility. They've done some renovations, and it looks like it's going to be a perfect venue for them. So I think that'll add some welcome evening activity to that area of the city, and I think that'll be a very positive development. On September 11th, I was at the city's South Fire Hall to say a few words on behalf of council for the Fallen Firefighter Memorial. And certainly appreciate the efforts of our local firefighters union in organizing that annual event to recognize firefighters killed and injured on the job. On September 15th, as was noted, I was with a couple of other council members to attend and meet with council in Fort St. John. It was really interesting to note, for me, the number of things that we had going on that were very similar. They're building a fire hall, we're building a fire hall. They're just finishing off a new hospital, we're just starting a new hospital. They're concerned about twinning now from the BC border to Fort St. John, which has been announced. We're concerned about twinning getting to the BC border. They've just recently opened a new rec facility, and they're concerned about flights in and out of their community. So a lot of similarities. On the fire hall, it was interesting to note that their budget was $10.4 million, and when they went out to tender, all of the tenders came in over their $10.4 million. And so they chose to move to a different method of construction management, where they basically hired project managers on the city's dime, and they're going to be doing the project that way. It contrasted that to our third fire hall, which was an $8.5 million project, and looks like we're getting reasonable value for our dollar there. On September 17th, I was with a number of other council members and what seemed like 3/4 of the community at the multiplex for the Big Splash event, and I just want to add my congratulations to all the city staff who organized that, and all the other city staff who had their arms twisted to come out and volunteer. I think without all those volunteers, we couldn't have handled the overwhelming demand from the community that we're excited and eager to see inside that building. And never let it be said that one can't own up to their mistakes. I'm going to do that right here in front of all of you. I was leading one of the tours, and my first tour of the day, we went through, and somebody said, "Oh, so this is great," and I was pointing out the different portions of the building, and somebody said, "Oh, so that's wonderful. Is there a steam room or a sauna?" I said, "Oh, geez, that just didn't make it in, actually. It was one of the things," and oh, okay, well, fair enough. And then the second group came through that I was giving a tour, and somebody asked the same question. I said, "Oh, it didn't, no, unfortunately, there's not." And the person that asked the question said, "Well, on the pamphlet, it says that there is, actually. It says that there's one right here." And luckily enough, there was a City Leisure Center staff who came up and said, "Mayor Given, if I could, actually, they're over there." So, admittedly, that is one of the features of the multiplex that even I've overlooked. I think it goes to show that there's so much in the building and so many fantastic things that something as important as a sauna and a steam room can be overlooked. And so that's how I'm going to play it anyways. So if the first tour group is listening, I apologize for the mistake, but certainly I think the message is that there's something for everyone at the multiplex. If that was everything, then we'll call our council meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.